Deputy can take her away.
Welcome back, guys. I trust you've been staying safe. Now, the video that you saw is not from a movie, it's real, and that is a video of a judge in the United States of America being literally dragged off by a sheriff's deputy to go and start her 6 months jail sentence. Yes, this judge is none other than Tracie Hunter, and I'm sure you are wondering how she got to that position. Well, we are going to walk through the timelines of what happened and how it finally concluded that she had to be put through that and matters arising afterwards. So, Tracie Hunter, prior to that moment, was then a juvenile court judge in the Hamilton County in the United States of America. So this story is basically letting us know that sometimes those who know the law and are expected to know better sometimes actually do not even get to do better. I think it epitomizes the fact that at the end of the day, we are all humans, and sometimes knowing is not enough to ensure that you are actually going to do the right thing. It's a decision to decide to do the right thing every time. Knowing what is right does not necessarily mean the person is going to do the right thing. That is what is playing out here in the case of Tracie Hunter, or let me say, former juvenile court judge Tracie Hunter. Now, the whole thing started from January in 2014, where this juvenile court, or let me say this juvenile court judge, was indicted by a court on multiple felony charges. Now, among the accusations, Judge Tracie Hunter is accused of deciding and executing a decision to backdate documents to prevent prosecutors from appealing against her decisions that she was leveling against these prosecutors, and then she also went on to improperly use her position as a judge to give confidential documents to her brother, who was a juvenile court employee. And this brother of hers was actually in the process of getting fired. Now, I'm sure you begin to see what is going on here. That is abuse of power right there. In the first place, how is it that she is a juvenile court judge and it turns out that her brother is also a juvenile court employee? It is not clear whether they were working in the same building, but if they were, if you ask me, in my layman thinking, I would say that that is room for a possible compromise from her, unless, of course, she's not working directly with him. But if it turns out that she has, by her position as the juvenile court judge, she has a direct influence on how his work plays out, then I think that that appointment was wrong in the first place, and maybe something should have been done, a transfer or something of that sort, because I don't think this was the right thing to do from the beginning. But that is my opinion. This is not me trying to pass legal judgment on whoever appointed her brother. I digress. So this is what she was accused of. And for her to be in a position to backdate documents that pertain to her brother being fired, that alone shows you that she is trying to abuse her position and power and leverage on them so that she can sort of save her brother or do her brother a favor. And if a judge can do this, woe betides you if you are having a case against anybody she knows and she has any form of reach into the case, there's a high probability she will abuse that power again. And it actually shows when one of the indictments is saying that she actually also backdated documents to prevent prosecutors from appealing her decisions against them. So imagine that you are the one whose case is going to be appealed by these prosecutors. It means that this judge is denying you a fair trial. That is the extent of the abuse of her power that she was putting out. And I think that is very, very shameful in an era where women are being empowered to do better, in an era where women are being supported to break boundaries and set new trends. She allegedly is the first juvenile county judge of black descent. So she had the opportunity, if that is true, to set a pace for others to be able to follow and travel on and also set new paces. So for me, I find it very disappointing that this was what she ended up doing. But then, let's get into further details of it. So it started in January 2014 and these indictments were leveled against her. Then, in October of 2014, the same year, a jury convicted Judge Tracie Hunter of a single count that was related to giving confidential documents to her brother. The jurors were unable to agree on possible verdicts on the other 8 counts that she was facing. So as a result of the jury not being able to agree on what to do with the other 8 counts, eventually those remaining charges were dropped. So the only thing that was now pending was the fact that she had given confidential documents to her brother. Now fast forward to the 5th of December 2014. Judge Hunter was sentenced to 6 months in jail. But then she didn't start the sentencing because in the same month, on the 26th of December 2014, the Ohio Supreme Court allowed Judge Tracie Hunter to remain out of jail while she pursued appeals against this case. Now, this then moved the case into 2015. She was still out of jail, trying to appeal. And at this point, the Ohio Supreme Court's Chief Justice, Maureen O'Connor, denied Judge Tracie Hunter's request to remove the judge who was sitting on her case by name Judge Patrick Dink Laka from that case, because Tracie Hunter was trying to make certain allegations against this judge, and it seemed like she wasn't gaining much support in that regard. But I'll come in with something about how sometimes some blacks treat cases like this when the person at the center of the case is a black person. I'm also black, in case you don't know. I'm black, so there's no matter of race, there's a matter of truth and fact. Now, before I get into that bit, as far as Tracie Hunter and the judge sitting on this particular case of hers was concerned, on September 2015, at a tense hearing before this judge sitting on her case by name Judge Dink Laka, Tracie Hunter's attorney eventually indicated that he can't even represent Tracie Hunter again on this case because things were getting too heated, to the point that Tracie Hunter had gone back in time to pull certain issues that this judge who was sitting on her case had been involved in. And it turns out that in 2013, this judge had been involved in a fatal crash involving 2 other vehicles which had unfortunately struck a woman. And it was very unfortunate. The judge went on to tell her when she brought it up that he doesn't want her to bring it up. It has nothing to do with the case. It's inappropriate, it's hurtful, and he thought that she was bringing it up just to spite him. And I agree, because per the analysis, you don't see any linkage. It doesn't really have anything to do with the case at hand with regards to her, Tracie Hunter, leaking confidential documents to her brother. So it's more like you are just spiting this judge and trying to smear him. And this is where I have a problem with how some blacks sometimes treat some of these cases, because she still had supporters. And if the facts of the case are what they said they were, then I have a problem with it, because you could see some blacks amassing themselves to rally in support of Judge Tracie Hunter. I don't have a problem if somebody decides to support somebody in court, but I have a problem when you try to pull the race card, try to leverage on Black Lives Matter just because Tracie Hunter is black and she's on trial. It almost seems to suggest to me as though you are trying to pull an impression that she is being tormented or oppressed by the legal system just because she's black. I don't believe that. She's actually a judge. She knows the law. If the law is trying to sort of be unfair to her, I think she knows all the loopholes and the things that she can leverage on from within the law to exonerate herself and even flip things around and go for something on the basis of either a false imprisonment or wrongful prosecution. So I don't think it's about race. I don't think it's about her color. I think it's more about just the law playing out irrespective of who is at fault here. So for me, when I saw people amassing out, pulling on the race card, shouting Black Lives Matter, I stand with Tracie, I didn't have a problem with people standing with her, but I had a problem with people trying to make it about race. Now, as is expected, that wouldn't influence the outcome of the law. So it traveled to May 2017, where then a federal magistrate judge recommended that he was denying Judge Tracie Hunter's challenge to her conviction, and that the final decision would have to be made on her sentencing and the case at hand. So fast forward to the 29th of May 2019, and this was 2 years after the magistrate judge's recommendation. And in this regard, a decision was made that the sentence can now be imposed. They went on to indicate that there was a strong evidence against Judge Tracie Hunter, and that the claim that the verdict was as a result of inflammatory and prejudicial effect of remarks made by the special prosecutor during the closing argument on the case in court, it had no basis. And I agree. You could see that Tracie Hunter was just trying so hard to muddy the waters, to the point that her own attorney eventually abandoned her in court. Obviously, because she is a judge, and I'm sure that she didn't give her attorney the chance to do his job the way he had to do it, because to an extent, I'm suspecting probably she felt she knew more than him and she knew better. But one thing you must know is that you could even be a judge, but once you are in the box as a person of interest in a court case, and in this case a defendant, it's better you get yourself a lawyer, because you may know the law, but sometimes when your back is against the wall, you might not be in the best position or best frame of mind to defend yourself. That's how come a lawyer is important in this case. So fast forward, in July of 2019, an execution sentence hearing was set for 9 a.m. in the Hamilton County Common Pleas Court, and here Judge Tracie Hunter was sentenced and the sentence executed for her to proceed to serving her 6 months sentence in jail. And it was at this point that the deputy was seen dragging her to commence her sentence. It didn't end there actually. After that embarrassing situation, Judge Tracie Hunter would come back to file a suit against the deputy, claiming that she had injured her in the process of dragging her, and that she had also caused severe embarrassment to her per this video, which had been televised worldwide. But then that also was not successful, because according to the judge, nothing showed that how the deputy handled her actually caused any injuries, and that she was also given medical attention on other issues that she raised when she was being taken to jail. And none of that could be attributed to how she was handled by this deputy. So that is how things played out with this judge. Her law license was also suspended as at the time of making this video per my research, It has still not been reinstated yet. The Supreme Court had a case on it, but it's still something that I'm yet to find out whether the law license has been reinstated or not. This is unfortunate, and I think that this is an advice to everybody. Knowing is different from doing. Think that at any point in time when you are given a position of power, you should be very careful and not think that you are now above the law. When you are breaking the law that you as a judge are actually sitting back in court to sentence people on, I think it's a shame. It's always expected that the people who know better and are given the opportunity per that to actually pass judgment on others and pass sentences should also understand that the same standards or even higher versions of those standards are imposed and expected of them, such that you can't be a judge and be breaking the law and thinking that you can beat the system. It's very unfortunate, but I think that if all the facts I see in my research are what they actually are, per what really played out, then I think that in as much as it's unfortunate for Judge Tracie Hunter, the law is the law. And I hope that others would also learn from it, although I'm sure some would still fall foul in one way or the other. Watch our other videos on this channel. Share your views and opinions in the comment section on this video. Do you think Judge Tracie Hunter got a lenient sentence? For me, 6 months, I was like, abuse of power. Yeah. But then it's understandable to an extent because the other 8 counts, couldn't stick. So it was just this one count of leaking documents to her brother. And I think 6 months probably was enough to teach her a lesson. What do you think? What do you think about this entire case? What do you think about how she was handled? Do you think it could have been done better? Let me know in the comment section. Let's have a conversation. Until then, stay safe out there. I'll catch you on the next one.